At 55, I thought I was done with love. 5 divorces, 2 bankruptcies, and a heart more bruised than broken had left me empty. I had everything a man could want at some point: money, cars, houses, even a short burst of fame in a real estate reality show. But what I didn't have, and what I never managed to keep, was peace. So I left. I sold what was left of my dignity and belongings, packed 2 suitcases, and bought a one-way ticket to the Philippines. Not for some fantasy of paradise or to chase younger women like some expats do, but because I needed quiet. I needed kindness. I needed to believe that love could be simple, if not in the beginning, then maybe in the end. And that's where this story begins, with a man who had nothing left to prove in a country that never asked him to. The first thing I noticed about the Philippines wasn't the beaches or the sun. It was the rain. I landed in Cebu during a monsoon. It came down like it had a score to settle with the earth. My driver, a kid no older than 25 named Jun, laughed as I stepped out of the airport and got soaked before I could reach the van. "Welcome to the Philippines, sir," he said, handing me a towel. Rain is good luck. I didn't know it yet, but that kid would end up being one of the best friends I'd ever make. The house I rented was modest. 2 bedrooms, concrete walls, a porch with a hammock that swayed just right when the wind came through. The sea was close enough that I could hear it every night, like a lullaby meant for men who'd run out of lullabies. For the first 2 weeks I did nothing. No dating apps, no nightlife. Just coffee in the morning, long walks in the afternoon, and fried fish dinners from the same corner vendor who always smiled like I was the only customer she'd seen all day. And then I met her. Her name was Eliza. I met her at a hardware store, of all places. I'd gone in to buy a ceiling fan after sweating through another humid night. She was arguing with the store clerk about the price of a water pump, her voice firm but respectful. She looked up when I passed by. Something about the way she held herself, strong, calm, no performance, made me pause. Later she told me I looked like I didn't belong but didn't care. That's what made her talk to me. That and the fact that I had tried to carry the ceiling fan, boxed myself and nearly dropped it. "Let me help you," she said. "You'll throw your back out trying to be a hero." I smiled, maybe for the first time in a long time. "Eliza," she said, holding out her hand. "Rick," I replied, shaking it. "Rick Carson," she nodded. "You're new here." "I can tell." "And you?" I asked. "I've been here all my life, but I like people who get lost. They're the ones who find the real things." I didn't know it yet, but I'd just met the realest thing I'd ever find. Eliza worked at a small cafe by the sea, half bamboo, half concrete, with mismatched chairs and an ocean view that made everything feel softer. I showed up the next morning under the excuse of trying local coffee. Though I don't even drink the stuff without drowning it in sugar. She laughed when she saw me. "You again," she said. "You came all this way for caffeine?" I shrugged. Honestly, I came to see if the woman who insulted my back yesterday was real or just heat stroke. She poured me a cup without asking and sat across from me. "And no sugar," she said. "You look like a man who needs to taste things properly." I took a sip. It was strong, almost bitter, but I didn't mind. It reminded me of her. No nonsense, no fluff. We talked for over an hour that morning. About nothing, really. Her village, my failed marriages, how she hated city life, how I hated airports. It was easy talking to her. She didn't judge or pry, just listened like it mattered. "I've never met a man who admitted his mistakes so openly," she said after a while. "I've made too many to pretend otherwise." That made her smile, just barely. "Good. Honest men are rare here. Rare everywhere, I guess." Before I left, she gave me a small bag of beans and told me to come back when I'd learned how to brew it without ruining it. I promised I would, though we both knew I'd be back long before I figured that out. Sometimes you meet someone who doesn't ask for anything, no stories, no pretenses, no promises, and yet you find yourself wanting to give them all of that anyway. That's what Eliza did. She didn't try to fix me. She didn't even try to understand me. She just saw me. And after 55 years, 5 failed marriages, and 1 long flight across the world, being seen was more intimate than anything else. Sundays in her village were different. The noise softened. The kids played barefoot in the road, chasing old tires and kites made of newspaper. Dogs wandered freely. Men sat under trees playing chess with bottle caps. And Eliza? She spent her Sundays cooking for anyone who stopped by. She invited me over one morning. No pretense, no flirting, just, if you're not busy, come eat. I make too much food. I showed up with a bottle of wine I bought at the tourist mall in town. It wasn't great, but it was expensive, which I thought might count for something. She opened it, took a sip, and winced. "You Americans drink strange things," she said, laughing. "But thank you." Her house was small. No air conditioning, just windows wide open and fans that squeaked as they turned. But it smelled like home, like garlic, lemongrass, and grilled fish. She was barefoot, wearing a simple dress, and her hair was tied up like she'd been too busy to care how she looked. She was beautiful. There were neighbors there, 2 older women, a teenage girl, a man with a missing tooth who introduced himself as her cousin, though I later learned everyone called each other cousin here. And then there was Eliza, moving through the kitchen like she was feeding royalty, not a bunch of noisy locals and one awkward American. We ate, we laughed. Someone played guitar. When I offered to help wash dishes, she looked at me like I'd grown another head. "You're a guest," she said. "I'm trying not to be." That made her pause, not because she was surprised, but because I think she understood exactly what I meant. Later, after everyone left, we sat outside. No talking, just the sound of crickets and the waves, and the occasional pop of firecrackers from some far-off birthday party. "I didn't think I'd ever start over again," I told her quietly. "You didn't," she said. "You just arrived where you were always meant to be. Sometimes love doesn't come charging through the door. It just shows up quietly with a bowl of rice, a seat at the table, and a woman who makes you feel like maybe, just maybe, you're not broken after all." I didn't know if it was love yet, but I knew peace. And that was a start. I'd been seeing Eliza almost every day, at the cafe, in town, sometimes just walking the beach together at sunset, saying nothing at all. It was the kind of closeness I'd never experienced without expectation. No one asking, "What are we?" No pressure to define or declare. Just presence. But even paradise has shadows. One afternoon I stopped by her cafe and found her sitting out back, staring at the sea with a look I hadn't seen before. Not sad, more like haunted. She didn't notice me right away. "You okay?" I asked softly. She didn't turn around, just said, "Do you believe people can carry ghosts?" I sat beside her. I've got a whole haunted house walking around in me. That made her smile a little, but it didn't last. She told me quietly that she had been married once, a long time ago. He was older, controlling, left her with nothing but debts and silence. He died in an accident 5 years ago. She never cried, she said. Never had the luxury. I don't bring it up because people here forget fast. But I don't. I carry things, even when I try not to. I wanted to reach for her hand, but something in her posture told me not to. "Not yet. I've failed 5 marriages," I said. One woman cheated. Another said I was emotionally unavailable. One just got bored. The last 2? I can't even explain it. I think I was chasing the idea of being loved, not the real thing. She looked at me then, really looked. And now? Now I'm just trying to be honest. We sat in silence again, but this time it wasn't heavy. It was shared. Before I left, I placed my hand over hers on the wooden table. She didn't pull away. Real love doesn't ask you to forget your past. It asks you to carry it better, together, Eliza. And I weren't trying to fix each other. We were just 2 people with ghosts, sitting in the light, hoping that maybe, just maybe, they'd sit quietly for a while. By the 3rd month, I stopped counting the days. My routine had become hers. Or maybe hers had quietly become mine. Mornings were for walks, afternoons for cafe visits, evenings, sometimes we cooked. Sometimes we didn't speak at all, just sat on her porch, letting the sounds of life around us fill in the quiet. One day she asked me, "What do you miss about America?" I thought about it. Good steaks, fast internet. My daughter, mostly. You don't talk about your children much. I figured I'd scare you off. She smiled gently. You won't. So I told her, 3 kids from 3 marriages. 2 still talk to me. 1 barely tolerates me. The youngest, Sarah, had been the one to call me out after my 5th divorce. Dad, maybe you're the common denominator. She was right. I told Eliza all of it, not because she asked, but because I wanted her to know everything, the broken pieces, the shame, the loneliness. When I finished, she looked at me the same way she always had. Do you know what bayanihan means? She asked. I shook my head. It's a Filipino word. It means carrying something heavy together, like when a whole village lifts a house to move it. That's what love should feel like. I just stared at her. The wind picked up, carrying her hair into her face, and she brushed it away like it was nothing, like it always had been. And in that moment, I realized something. I was home, and it had nothing to do with geography. Love isn't about where you are. It's who you're willing to carry it with. In Eliza's world, there was no ego, no games, just the steady rhythm of trust. And somewhere between the broken confessions and shared silences, I stopped feeling like a guest in her life and started feeling like I belonged. Just when I thought I had left my past behind, it found me, like it always does. It started with a call from the States. My daughter, Sarah. Dad, are you okay? She asked, voice tight. Yeah, why? I got a message from Mom. She's been trying to find you. Said some legal notice came to the old house about a joint account you never closed. They're trying to pin the debt on you. My stomach dropped. It wasn't the first time. A forgotten thread of my former life had unraveled into something expensive. I hadn't told Eliza much about my financial messes. Not in detail. I didn't want to scare her, or worse, make her think I was another foreigner looking for a soft landing. That night I sat on her porch, trying to figure out how to tell her I might have to go back. Maybe just for a few weeks. Maybe longer. I had a call, I started. She was watering her plants, barefoot and calm. From your daughter? I blinked. How'd you know? You get a different look when it's her. Not sad, just serious. So I told her everything about the debt. The closed account that never closed. The possible court date. The fact that I might need to return to deal with it. She listened. Didn't interrupt. Didn't flinch. When I finished, she sat beside me. Go if you need to, she said. But don't disappear. That stopped me. You're not mad? No, disappointed maybe. Not in you. In the world that keeps asking you to prove yourself. When all you really want is peace. I looked at her then, really looked. And I realized what she'd just said without saying it. She didn't want me to stay because she was afraid to lose me. She wanted me to stay because she believed in me, even if I left. Love doesn't chain you down. It doesn't guilt you into staying. It says, go, handle it. I'll still be here. And that's when you know it's real. Not because someone holds on tight, but because they trust you enough to let go. Leaving the Philippines felt harder than I expected. Not because of the beaches or the weather, but because of her. I packed light. A week's worth of clothes, a folder of documents, and a single note from Eliza folded into my carry-on. She handed it to me at the airport just before security. Don't read it now, she said. Wait until you're in the air. Her hug was brief but warm, her eyes dry. Her hand squeezed mine once, firm like a promise. The flight was quiet. No crying babies, no turbulence. Just the hum of altitude and the weight of leaving something behind. I hadn't realized I needed this badly. I opened her note somewhere over the Pacific. It was handwritten, simple. Rick, whatever happens over there, don't let it change what's true here. Some people spend their whole lives waiting to be seen. You see me, I see you. Come back when you can breathe again. I'll be here. Eliza? I stared at it for a long time. Folded it, then unfolded it again, like I was afraid it might vanish if I didn't keep reading it. In the U.S., everything felt cold, impersonal. The bank smelled like plastic, the courthouse like dust and time. I sat in front of lawyers who spoke in acronyms, wearing suits that probably cost more than Eliza earned in a month. I felt angry, not just at the situation but at myself, for ever thinking I could run from the damage without truly facing it. But I faced it. I signed the papers, took the hit, paid what I could, settled the rest. And every night I called Eliza. Sometimes we talked for 10 minutes. Sometimes we just listened to each other breathe. I miss your sea, I told her once. It misses you too, she replied. Sometimes the past comes back not to haunt you, but to ask one final question. Have you really changed? And when you answer it, not with words, but with choices, you find out what kind of man you've finally become. I landed back in Cebu 3 weeks later. No fanfare, no one waiting with signs, just thick humidity, the smell of grilled street food, and that chaotic traffic I'd oddly missed. But Eliza wasn't at the airport, and for a moment, I wondered if something had changed while I was gone, if time had closed the door I left open. Then I saw Jun, my old driver, waiting with a grin and a cardboard sign that read, "The American's back. She said to tell you she's cooking," he said. "Told me not to drive fast. Wanted you hungry when you arrive." We laughed the whole ride back. He updated me on town gossip, told me the cafe had repainted, and how Eliza had asked about me every day without asking directly. "She pretends she's not worried," he said. "But we know." When I got to her house, the lights were on, the door was open. The same 2 older ladies from before were there, peeling vegetables on her front step like time hadn't moved at all. Then I saw her. She was wearing the same simple dress, her hair tied up like always. She looked at me, blinked once, then smiled. "You're late," she said. "I came back," I replied, and that was it. She didn't run to me, didn't cry. She just walked over, took my hand, and pulled me inside like I'd never left. Dinner was quiet, familiar. I hadn't realized how much I'd missed the clinking of her spoons, the scent of her broth, the calm way she asked, "More rice?" After we ate, I sat on the porch with her. "I handled it," I said. She nodded. "I know." "You sure about this?" I asked. "About you?" I nodded. She leaned her head on my shoulder. "I was sure the first time you let me speak without interrupting. Love doesn't need fireworks. Sometimes it just needs someone to come back when they say they will. And when they do, you don't ask where they've been. You just say, 'Welcome home.'" It was a quiet morning when I finally asked her. The market was buzzing, motorbikes weaving through tight corners, kids chasing each other between stalls. Eliza moved through the chaos like she was born in it, haggling with fish vendors, greeting shopkeepers, slipping a few extra mangoes into our bag because she knew I liked them too ripe. I carried the bags, not because she asked, but because I wanted to. On the walk home, I stopped suddenly. "Eliza." She turned. "I've got a question." She raised an eyebrow. "I know I don't have much. I'm not young. I'm not rich. Hell, my country doesn't even feel like mine anymore. But if you're willing, would you let me spend the rest of whatever time I've got left here with you?" She didn't blink, didn't smile right away. Instead, she asked, "Are you proposing?" I shrugged. "I'm trying." She stepped closer, lowered her voice. "Don't try, Rick. Ask me properly." I set the bags down. "Will you marry me?" There it was, out in the open. No ring, no kneeling. Just the question between us and a few nosy chickens clucking nearby. She smiled then, a slow, steady smile that reached all the way into her eyes. "Yes," she said, "but I'm not changing my name." I wouldn't dream of asking. That night we ate dinner under the stars. No guests, no music, no celebration, just 2 people and a decision. That felt more real than any ceremony I'd ever had before. And when I looked at her across that little table, lit by a single candle flickering in the breeze, I knew this was the first time I'd ever proposed with my heart wide open. Love, when it's real, doesn't arrive with grand gestures. It shows up in the market aisles, in the mangoes, in the question asked without armor. And when the right person says yes, it doesn't feel like a victory. It feels like peace. We didn't have a wedding, not in the way most people picture it. Just a small gathering behind the cafe. Plastic chairs. A pastor Eliza's cousin knew. Her neighbors brought food. One kid played the guitar. Someone hung up streamers that blew sideways. The whole time, because the wind wouldn't cooperate, I wore a white linen shirt. She wore a dress I'd seen her wear before, simple, sea-colored, something that moved like water when she walked. We exchanged vows under a mango tree. No ring for her yet. I was saving for something better. But she smiled like she didn't need one. "I do," she said simply. And I meant mine more than I ever had before. Life settled into something honest after that. Morning started with birds and brewed coffee. Not the bitter kind anymore. She taught me how to make it right. We ran the cafe together. I washed dishes. She bossed me around. I didn't mind. Once, I asked her if she thought we had wasted time, finding each other so late in life. She shook her head. You found me exactly when you were ready to stay. Sarah visited 6 months later. She was skeptical at first, protective, but Eliza won her over in one afternoon with a bowl of chicken. Tanola and a brutally honest card game. By the time she left, Sarah hugged me tighter than she had in years. You're different, Dad, she said. Better or worse? She smiled. Real. Now, I don't think much about the man I used to be. The man chasing things, running from guilt, staring at the walls of his 5th divorce like they were the end of the road. Because this place, this woman, showed me something I'd never really believed before. It's never too late. Not for love, not for peace, not for home. They say love is for the young. But maybe real love, the kind that forgives your past, sits quietly beside your grief, and laughs with you anyway. That kind of love is for those of us who've lived enough to understand its worth. And after all this time, I finally do. Thank you for joining me on this journey of love, loss, and new beginnings. If this story touched you, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to catch more stories of real people, real emotions, and real hope. Share your thoughts below. Have you ever found love when you weren't looking? Until next time, remember, it's never too late to find your peace.